Welcome to Stories Junction. Let's begin today's story. My name is Owen. When I met my fiancée, Clara, her world felt like a missing piece I'd been searching for. She came from a close family, and I was drawn to that. I wanted to be part of it because they were her heart, and she was mine. When I proposed to Clara, it wasn't just about her. It was about her family, too. See, I lost my parents young, and for years, I drifted without that anchor of family. So when Clara brought me into her circle, it hit deep. Her parents weren't just hers. They became mine. I called them on holidays, showed up for Sunday dinners, and felt like I belonged. Clara's the oldest, and she carries a lot. Her parents are retired, living on a tight pension. When things break down, they turn to her. Then there's her younger sister, still in college, trying to find her way. Clara makes sure she's okay, even when it stretches her thin. I saw early on how much she held together. One night, we had plans for a movie, but she called off. Her dad had phoned, voice shaky, saying they couldn't cover utilities. Clara sent her last paycheck to tide them over. She didn't say much after, just sat quietly, eyes heavy. That's when I started stepping up, quietly helping where I could. I'd send groceries or cover a bill, not for praise, but because I loved her. When you love someone, their weight becomes yours. Clara and I met through a coworker, and our first conversation just flowed. She didn't unload her life story. She kept it easy, warm. There were no warning signs, just a steady vibe that made me feel safe. Early on, I noticed how busy she was, always juggling something. If she had to cancel, she'd say, family stuff, and leave it there. I respected that. She wasn't fishing for sympathy. She just handled things. It was maybe a year in when I saw the full scope of what she carried. Clara wasn't just helping her family. She was their backbone. She paid for her sister's textbooks, managed her mom's doctor visits, and stepped in when her dad fell behind on bills. Yet she still showed up for me, listening to my work gripes, keeping us solid. What struck me was her silence about it. She never complained or used her duties as a crutch. She did what needed doing because it was right. I've seen people cut ties over less, but Clara stayed, pouring herself into her family without expecting a spotlight. That strength hooked me. Having lost my parents, I knew what family meant, and seeing her devotion stirred something in me. I admired her, and I wanted to stand with her. Proposing to Clara after 2 years felt natural. I wasn't nervous. I was certain. When she said yes with that quiet warmth she always had, I knew we were a team. A month before Thanksgiving, Clara asked if I'd join her family for the holiday. I didn't hesitate. I took time off work, eager for the weekend with people I'd come see as my own. That morning, as I packed, Clara walked in, face tense. "Hey," she said softly, "my parents wanted to be just immediate family this time." I blinked. "Just family? So I'm not going." She nodded, biting her lip. "They want it small, babe." I didn't yell or push back. "Okay," I said. "You should go." She kissed my cheek, promised to call, and left. The silence after the door closed was deafening. I couldn't stay home, so I grabbed a bag and drove. No plan, just a quiet mountain town a few hours away. I used to do these solo trips before Clara, but I'd stopped, thinking I didn't need them anymore. I was wrong. Walking empty trails, breathing crisp air, I let the hurt surface. It wasn't about missing a holiday. It was realizing I wasn't family to them. Not really. No matter how much I gave, I was outside their circle. That truth cut deeper than I expected, and it left me wondering what place I truly had in Clara's world. That weekend in the mountain town stretched out, each moment heavy with clarity. I wandered through quiet streets, past small cafes and frost-dusted pines, letting the sting of Thanksgiving settle. The hurt wasn't just about being left out. It was the realization that I'd poured so much into Clara's family, only to be sidelined when it came to moments that mattered. I'd been there for them, not just with words, but with actions. When their car broke down, I'd helped with repair costs. When Clara's sister needed a laptop for school, I chipped in. I didn't do it for a pat on the back. I did it because I thought I was building something with them, something real. But that holiday, it hit me. I was more like a guest who paid for the table than a member of the family sitting at it. I didn't call Clara that weekend. My phone stayed quiet, and so did I. The solitude wasn't about running away. It was about finding myself again. Before Clara, I'd been comfortable alone, used to carving out space for my thoughts. I'd let that part of me fade, thinking love meant giving all of myself to her world. But sitting by a frozen lake, watching my breath cloud in the cold, I started asking questions. Did Clara see me the way I saw her? Did her family even notice what I've been doing for them? Or was I just a guy who made things easier, someone convenient until they didn't need me? Those questions didn't have answers yet, but they demanded I stop ignoring them. When Clara came back, she acted like nothing had changed. She breezed into our apartment, talking about her mom's cornbread and how her sister spilled cider on the tablecloth. She laughed, and I listened, but every word felt like a reminder of the celebration I'd been excluded from. I didn't bring it up, though. Instead, I started pulling back. It wasn't loud or dramatic. I just stopped offering. The next time her mom called about a late phone bill, I didn't step in. Normally, I'd have sent money or offered to call the company myself. This time, I stayed quiet. Clara noticed, her brow furrowing when I didn't jump to help, but she didn't say anything either. It was like we were both waiting for the other to break the silence. A couple of weeks later, Clara mentioned her dad needed help with a plumbing issue at their house. It was the kind of thing I'd have handled before, grabbing my tools, spending a Saturday fixing pipes, joking with her dad over coffee after. But this time, I looked at her and said, I don't think I'm the right person for that anymore. Her eyes widened, like she wasn't sure she'd heard me right. What do you mean? She asked. I kept it simple. I'm not family enough for that. The words landed hard. She stared at me, waiting for me to backtrack, to laugh it off like I was kidding. I didn't. She pressed her lips together, nodded once, and walked away. I could feel the tension settle between us, heavy and unspoken. It wasn't just about the plumbing or the bills. It was about what Thanksgiving revealed, a line I hadn't seen before. I'd spent years trying to be part of her family, thinking love and loyalty would earn me a place. But that day, when they decided immediate family didn't include me, it showed me where I stood. And the more I thought about it, the more I wondered if Clara had fought for me. Had she pushed back when her parents drew that line? Had she said, Owen's my fiancé. If he's not welcome, I'm not going? Or had she just nodded and gone along? I didn't ask, because part of me wasn't ready for the answer. But the question gnawed at me, and it changed how I moved forward. I kept my distance from her family's needs after that. When her sister texted about needing help with a scholarship application, I didn't offer to proofread it. When her dad mentioned a friend who needed a handyman recommendation, I shrugged and said I didn't know anyone. Each time, Clara's face would tighten, like she was trying to piece together why I'd changed. I wasn't angry, not in the yelling or slamming doors way. I was just done pretending I was something I wasn't to them. I'd given so much, time, money, energy, thinking it would make me one of them. But love doesn't work like a transaction, and I was tired of feeling like I was auditioning for a role they'd never cast me in. One night, Clara brought it up. We were eating takeout, the TV humming in the background, when she set her fork down and looked at me. You're different, she said, her voice sharp but not loud. You're pulling away from my family. From me. I didn't deny it. I'm just setting boundaries, I said. Her eyes narrowed. Boundaries? Owen, you've always been there for them. Now you're acting like they're strangers. I want to tell her everything. How that holiday had cracked something in me. How I felt like a tool they used but never truly saw. But instead, I said, I don't feel like I belong with them anymore. She leaned back, crossing her arms. So you're punishing me for one holiday? One misunderstanding? I shook my head. It's not about punishment. It's about what's real. She didn't say anything after that, just got up and cleared the plates. The silence between us grew louder, and I knew something bigger was coming, something we couldn't ignore much longer. The weeks after that dinner felt like we were walking on thin ice. Clara and I still talked, still shared a bed, but there was a distance now, a quiet rift neither of us named. I kept up my routine, work, gym, the occasional beer with friends, but I stopped filling the gaps in her family's lives. No more stepping in to fix their problems. No more playing the role of the dependable fiancé. It wasn't easy. Part of me still wanted to jump in, to be the guy who made things right for her. But every time I thought about it, I saw that Thanksgiving, the way Clara had walked out the door without a fight, and I stayed firm. I wasn't doing this to hurt her. I was doing it to protect myself. Clara noticed the shift more with each passing day. Her sister called one evening, stressed about a car repair she couldn't afford. Normally, I'd have offered to cover it or at least help her find a cheaper mechanic. This time, I just listened as Clara talked her through it, promising to figure something out. When she hung up, she glanced at me, like she was waiting for me to say something. I didn't. "You're really sticking to this, aren't you?" she said, her voice tight. I nodded. "It's not my place anymore." She let out a sharp breath, almost a laugh, but there was no humor in it. "You're making this harder than it needs to be, Owen." I didn't argue. I just let the words hang there, because explaining felt like shouting into a void. Then came a call from her mom. My phone buzzed one evening, her name lighting up the screen. I hesitated, then answered. Her voice was warm, familiar, like nothing had changed. "Owen, honey, I heard you've been upset about Thanksgiving," she said. "I'm so sorry. It was just a mix-up. We thought you were busy, or Clara said you had work. We didn't mean to leave you out, your family." She kept going, her words soft and practiced, saying how much they missed me, how I should have said something sooner. I listened, letting her fill the silence. She sounded sincere, but it didn't land right. A mix-up? I'd taken time off work, packed a bag, ready to spend the holiday with them. They hadn't forgotten me. They'd chosen to keep it immediate family. That wasn't a mistake. It was a line drawn, clear as day. I thanked her for calling, kept my tone polite. "I appreciate you reaching out," I said. "I just need some time to think things over." She paused, like she expected me to say more, to reassure her everything was fine. I didn't. When I hung up, Clara was watching me from across the room. "What did you want?" she asked. "To apologize," I said. "For Thanksgiving." Clara's face softened, like she thought this was the fix we needed. "See? It was just a misunderstanding." I shook my head. "It wasn't Clara. They didn't forget me. They decided I wasn't family." Her expression hardened. "You're blowing this out of proportion," she said. "They love you. I love you. Why can't you just let it go?" I looked at her, searching for the woman who'd made me feel like I'd found home. "Because I can't keep giving everything to people who don't see me," I said. She didn't respond, just turned and walked to the bedroom, closing the door behind her. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying her mom's words, Clara's defensiveness, the way they both seemed to think a quick apology could erase what happened. It wasn't about the holiday anymore. It was about what it revealed. I'd spent years trying to be part of their family, thinking my actions would earn me a place. I'd paid for car repairs, covered bills, even helped Clara's dad with his small landscaping business when he was short on supplies. I did it because I thought that's what family does. But they didn't see me as family. They saw me as useful. The realization wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, like a truth you've always known but finally let yourself hear. The next morning, Clara was quieter than usual. Over coffee, she brought up her cousin, who was starting a food truck and needed help with permits. She said it casually, like she was testing the waters. "He could really use your advice, Owen. You're good with that stuff." I sipped my coffee, meeting her eyes. "I think he'll figure it out," I said. "I'm sitting this one out." Her jaw tightened, and for a moment, I thought she'd push back. Instead, she nodded, looking away. It was like we were speaking different languages now, each of us holding on to our version of the truth. I didn't know if she understood why I was pulling back, or if she just saw it as me being stubborn. Either way, the gap between us was growing, and I wasn't sure how to bridge it, or if I even wanted to. A few days later, her dad called about a property tax issue. Clara mentioned it over dinner, her voice light but careful, like she was stepping around broken glass. "He's stressed," she said. "It's a lot of money, and he doesn't know where to start." I nodded, cutting into my food. "He'll find a way," I said. She set her fork down, staring at me. "Owen, what's going on with you? You used to care about this stuff." I met her gaze, steady. "I still care about you, but I'm done being the fix for everyone else." Her eyes searched mine, like she was looking for the man she'd agreed to marry. I didn't flinch, but inside, I was asking myself the same question I'd been carrying since Thanksgiving. Did Clara ever stand up for me, or was I always just the guy who made things easier? The answer was out there, waiting, and I knew it would change everything. The air between Clara and me grew heavier, like a storm that hadn't broken yet. We still went through the motions, cooking dinner, watching shows, sharing small talk, but it felt like we were performing a script, not living it. Every glance, every pause, carried the weight of what wasn't said. I kept my distance from her family's needs, and each time I said no, Clara's frustration grew sharper. It wasn't just about me stepping back. It was about what it meant for us. I could see it in her eyes. She was starting to wonder who I was becoming, and I was asking myself the same about her. One evening, it came to a head. We were cleaning up after dinner, dishes clinking in the sink, when Clara stopped and turned to me, arms crossed. "This is getting ridiculous. Owen," she said, her voice low but edged with anger. "You're shutting my family out, and it feels like you're shutting me out, too. What's next? You're just going to walk away from everything." I set the plate I was drying down, meeting her gaze. "I'm not walking away from you," I said, "but I'm done pretending I'm part of something I'm not." Her face tightened. "What does that even mean? You're my fiancé. They love you. Why are you making this about one stupid holiday?" I took a breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's not about the holiday, Clara. It's about what it showed me. I've been there for your family, fixing things, paying for things, showing up. And when it came to a moment that mattered, they didn't see me as family. They saw me as optional." She shook her head like she could shake off my words. "You're twisting this. It was a misunderstanding. My mom called you, didn't she? She apologized." I nodded. "She did. But apologies don't change what happened. They didn't forget me, Clara. They chose to keep me out. And you let them." Her eyes flashed, and for the first time, I saw something like guilt flicker across her face. "What was I supposed to do?" she snapped. "Tell my parents they're wrong? Start a fight on Thanksgiving? I told you it was their call, and I thought you'd understand." I leaned against the counter, feeling the weight of her words. "Did you stand up for me?" I asked quietly. "Did you say, 'Owen's my fiancé, he's coming with me,' or did you just go along with it?" She froze, her mouth opening slightly, then closing. That silence was louder than any answer she could have given. She turned away, busying herself with the dishes, but I could see her hands trembling. "You're making this bigger than it is," she muttered. "You're punishing me for something I didn't do." I didn't argue. I'd said what I needed to, and her reaction told me what I'd been afraid to admit. She hadn't fought for me. Not then, and maybe not ever. The realization didn't make me angry. It made me tired. I'd spent years trying to build a place in her world, thinking love meant carrying every burden she carried. But love isn't just giving, it's being seen too, and I wasn't. The next day, her dad texted me directly. "Owen, can we talk? Need some advice on the business." I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the screen. In the past, I'd have called back, spent an hour walking him through inventory issues or connecting him with someone who could help. This time, I typed, "Sorry, I'm tied up. Maybe check with someone local." I hit send and felt a strange mix of relief and guilt. Relief, because I was finally setting a boundary. Guilt, because part of me still wanted to be the guy who fixed things. But I couldn't keep playing that role for people who didn't see me as more than a resource. Clara's family kept reaching out, each request smaller, but no less telling. Her sister needed help with a resume. Her cousin asked if I could look over a loan application. Each time, I declined, repeating the same line, "It's not my place anymore." Clara's patience wore thin. One night, she sat me down, her voice softer but still sharp. "Owen, I get that you're hurt, but this isn't you. You're not this cold. You're pushing everyone away, and I don't know how to fix it." I looked at her, searching for the woman I'd proposed to, the one who'd made me believe in family again. "I'm not trying to push you away," I said, "but I can't keep giving to people who don't. System, don't see me as family. I'm setting boundaries because I need to." Her eyes widened, like she hadn't expected that. "Boundaries? You're acting like my family's the enemy." "They're not." I shook my head. "They're not the enemy, Clara, but they don't see me the way I thought they did. And I'm starting to wonder if you do too." That hit her hard. She stood up, pacing the kitchen. "You're questioning me now? After everything we've built?" I didn't answer right away because I didn't know how to. The truth was, I was questioning everything, not just her family, but us. And that scared me more than anything. Her family's calls kept coming, each one a reminder of what I'd walked away from. Her mom left a voicemail, her voice warm but cautious. "Owen, we miss you. Let's talk soon, okay? You're part of us." I didn't call back. The words felt hollow, like a bandage on a wound that wouldn't heal. Clara overheard the message and looked at me, waiting for a reaction. I just shrugged. "They're trying," she said. "Why can't you meet them halfway?" I set my phone down, my chest tight. "Because halfway doesn't make me family," I said. She stared at me, tears in her eyes, and walked out of the room. That night, I lay awake, wondering if I was breaking something I'd never get back, or if it was already broken and I was just seeing it now. The answer was coming, and I wasn't sure I was ready for it. The days after Clara walked out of the room felt like living in a house made of glass. One wrong move, and everything would shatter. We didn't fight, not in the loud, yelling way, but the silence between us was worse. It was like we were strangers sharing the same space, each waiting for the other to say something that would fix it all. But I didn't know what that was anymore, and I wasn't sure Clara did either. I kept my distance from her family's requests, and each time I said no, it felt less like a choice and more like a truth I'd finally accepted. I wasn't their family, not in the way I'd wanted to be, and I couldn't keep pretending otherwise. One afternoon, Clara's sister called, her voice frantic. Her car had broken down again, and she needed money for a tow. Clara took the call in the living room, her tone calm, but strained as she promised to send what she could. When she hung up, she looked at me, her eyes searching. "You heard that, right?" she said. I nodded. "She's stuck, Owen. She's just a kid." I leaned back in my chair, my hands resting on the table. "She'll figure it out," I said. Clara's face fell, like I'd slapped her. "You don't mean that," she said. "You've always helped her before." I met her gaze, steady. "I don't feel like it's my place anymore." She stared at me, her mouth trembling, then turned and walked to the bedroom, slamming the door. The sound echoed, louder than any words we'd exchanged. That night, Clara didn't come to bed. I found her on the couch the next morning, eyes red, a blanket pulled tight around her. "We need to talk," she said, her voice hoarse. I sat across from her, bracing myself. "I don't know who you are anymore," she started. "You're not the man I fell in love with. The Owen I knew would have helped my sister, my parents, without a second thought. Now you're just cold." I let her words sink in, feeling their weight. "I'm not cold," I said. "I'm honest. I gave everything to your family, Clara. I thought it made me one of them, but they showed me I'm not, and you didn't stand up for me." Her eyes flashed. "You keep saying that, but what did you want me to do? Blow up on my parents? Ruin Thanksgiving? I thought you'd understand it wasn't personal." I leaned forward, my voice low but firm. "It was personal. I'm your fiancée, Clara, or at least I was supposed to be. When they said immediate family, they meant without me, and you went along with it. You didn't fight for me to be there." She shook her head, tears spilling over. "You're making me the villain, but I'm not. I was stuck in the middle, trying to keep everyone happy." I nodded because I believed her. She was stuck. But that didn't change the truth. "You chose them over me," I said quietly, "and I've been choosing you over myself for years." She went still, like my words had cut deeper than she expected. For the first time, I saw her really hear me, but it didn't feel like a victory. It felt like an ending. Her family kept reaching out, their messages piling up. Her dad sent a long text about how much they valued me, how Thanksgiving was a silly mistake. Her mom called again, leaving another voicemail about how I was always welcome. I didn't respond, not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. They didn't reach out when I was giving. They reached out when I stopped. That wasn't family. That was dependency dressed up as love. Clara saw it differently. "They're trying to make it right," she said one evening, holding her phone with another unanswered message from her mom. "Why can't you give them a chance?" I looked at her, my chest tight. Because it's not about chances anymore. It's about what's real. They didn't see me as family then, and I don't think they ever will. She didn't argue, but her silence said enough. We were on opposite sides of the same truth, and neither of us knew how to cross it. That mountain trip from months ago kept coming back to me. Sitting by that frozen lake, I'd found a clarity I hadn't expected. It wasn't just about Clara's family, it was about me. I'd spent so long trying to fill the hole my parents lost left, thinking Clara's family could replace what I'd lost. But family isn't just showing up with solutions. It's being wanted, not just needed. I'd been needed, sure, but wanted? That was harder to believe. And Clara, for all her love, hadn't shown me otherwise. I started wondering what our future would look like. Would I always be the outsider giving more than I got? Would Clara ever see me the way I needed her to? Or was I holding on to a dream that wasn't real? One evening, I came home to find Clara packing a bag. "I'm going to my parents for a while," she said, her voice steady but distant. "I need space to think." I nodded, not surprised, but feeling the weight of it. "Okay," I said. She paused, looking at me like she wanted me to stop her, to fight for her to stay. But I didn't. I was tired of fighting for a place that wasn't mine. She zipped her bag, grabbed her keys, and left. The door clicked shut, and I stood there, alone in the quiet. I didn't know if this was the end of us, but I knew I couldn't go back to who I'd been. I found my truth, and it wasn't about Clara or her family anymore. It was about me. Whatever came next, I'd face it standing in that truth, even if it meant walking alone.